Disclaimer. This video contains intense and frightening content meant for entertainment purposes. It may include scenes that some viewers may find disturbing or unsettling. We recommend viewer discretion, especially for those sensitive to horror themes or with underlying medical conditions that could be affected by intense content. The events portrayed in this video are entirely fictional, and any resemblance to real-life situations or individuals is coincidental. We do not endorse harmful or illegal activities. By continuing to watch, you acknowledge the content warning and proceed at your own discretion.
Story 1. The Cursed Swing Set. I was never one to shy away from adventure, even if it led me to places others feared to tread. So when I heard the rumors about the old abandoned playground at the edge of town, my curiosity got the best of me. They said it was haunted, cursed even, and that anyone who dared to step foot in that forsaken place would be forever changed. I didn't believe in ghosts or curses, so I decided to investigate for myself. One chilly autumn evening, I made my way to the playground. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the rusty swings and cracked slides. The air was heavy with the scent of fallen leaves, and a sense of unease settled in the pit of my stomach. I ignored it, attributing it to the eerie atmosphere. As I approached the playground, I noticed that everything was eerily silent. No laughter of children playing, no sounds of birds chirping, just an unsettling stillness that hung in the air. The swings swayed gently in the breeze, their rusty chains creaking as if in mourning for the lost innocence of this place. I hesitated for a moment, but then mustered the courage to step onto the uneven, cracked pavement. My footsteps echoed through the desolate playground as I explored the area. The playground was overgrown with weeds, and the play structures were weathered and crumbling. It was a stark contrast to the vibrant and lively place it must have once been. My eyes were drawn to a particularly old and worn-out swing set. The chains were twisted, and the seat was covered in a layer of moss. I couldn't resist the urge to sit on it, to experience a fleeting moment of nostalgia. As I settled into the seat and started to swing, I couldn't help but feel a sense of melancholy wash over me. The wind picked up, and the creaking of the swing set grew louder, almost as if it were whispering secrets to the empty playground. I tried to shake off the feeling of unease and continue swinging, but that's when I heard it, a faint, childlike giggle. My heart raced as I looked around, but I was alone, or so I thought. The swings on either side of me began to move on their own, as if someone invisible was sitting beside me. Panic welled up inside me, and I jumped off the swing. That's when I saw her, a little girl with long, disheveled hair and torn clothes, swinging on the third swing. But there was something horribly wrong. Her skin was pale, and her eyes were empty, voids of darkness. I stumbled backward, my heart pounding in my chest. The fog grew thicker, making it difficult to see. Desperation set in as I fumbled my way out of the playground, but it seemed like the world had shifted around me. I couldn't find the exit, and with each step, I felt like I was descending deeper into a nightmarish realm. The wailing grew louder, and the fog cleared just enough for me to see her again, the ghostly girl, right in front of me. Her dark, empty eyes locked onto mine, and I felt a chill that penetrated to my very soul. She stretched out her hand toward me, and I could see that her fingers were skeletal, the flesh long gone. I had no choice but to reach out and touch her hand. It was ice cold, and as soon as our fingers made contact, a flood of memories rushed through my mind. I saw flashes of children laughing and playing on this very playground, but I also saw something darker, a tragedy that had unfolded here, a curse that had trapped the souls of those innocent children. As the memories faded, so did the ghostly girl. The playground returned to its eerie silence, and the fog lifted. I found myself standing at the entrance, shaken and bewildered, but alive. I never went back to that haunted playground, and I never spoke of what I'd experienced. Some places, it seems, are better left undisturbed, their secrets buried beneath layers of time and tragedy. And as for me, I couldn't shake the feeling that a part of my soul had been forever bound to that cursed swing set, a reminder of the haunted playground that would haunt me for the rest of my days. Story 2: The Haunting of Elmwood Park. Nightfall descended upon Elmwood Park, casting long shadows over the playground equipment that had once echoed with the laughter of children. The swings swayed in the gentle breeze, and the merry-go-round creaked eerily as it turned on its own. I had heard the tales of this place, the legends of a malevolent spirit that haunted the playground after dark. I never believed them, not until that fateful night. I arrived at the park with a group of friends, each one brimming with skepticism. We wanted to prove that the stories were nothing more than local superstition. As we entered the playground, the air grew icy and a sense of unease settled upon us. Ignoring our apprehension, we decided to explore the playground, armed with flashlights and bravado. The swings were the first to catch our attention, moving back and forth as though propelled by invisible hands. Laughter erupted among us as we debated the physics of it all, attributing the motion to wind or some other rational explanation. But then the laughter ceased abruptly. In the distance, we heard the faint sound of children's giggles echoing through the empty park. It sent shivers down our spines because, in that moment, we knew that we were entirely alone in the playground. We moved closer to the source of the laughter, drawn to a rusted carousel. Its paint was peeling, and the wooden horses looked grotesque in the dim light. Yet there it was, spinning with an eerie, otherworldly glow. We watched in horror as the once silent playground filled with the laughter of children that seemed to come from all directions. Unable to contain our fear, we attempted to flee the park, but something unseen held us back. It was as if an invisible barrier encircled us, preventing our escape. The laughter grew louder, more maniacal, and the playground equipment came to life, twisting and contorting as if possessed. Out of the shadows emerged a spectral figure, a young girl in a tattered, blood-stained dress. Her eyes were hollow, her face pallid, and her hair hung in tangled knots. She pointed a bony finger at us, and the world seemed to warp around her. My heart pounded as I realized we were trapped in a nightmare. The ghostly children circled us, their laughter turning to sinister whispers. The carousel spun faster and the swings swung higher. Panic set in, and we screamed for release. It was then that I noticed a plaque on the ground, half buried beneath the sand. It bore the name Lily Anderson and her date of birth, followed by a date of death that corresponded with the local legend of a girl who had vanished at Elmwood Park decades ago. In desperation, I called out to Lily, pleading with her to release us. Her hollow eyes met mine, and for a moment I glimpsed a glimmer of sadness within them. With a mournful wail, she raised her arms, and the spectral children vanished. The swing slowed to a stop, and the carousel came to rest. The world around us returned to normal, but Elmwood Park had forever changed us. We left that playground with a newfound respect for the stories we had once dismissed as superstition. The haunted playground had shown us that not all nightmares are confined to our dreams, and some horrors lurk in the places we least expect. As we walked away, I couldn't help but wonder if the restless spirits of children still played in the darkness of Elmwood Park, their laughter echoing through the empty night. Story 3: The Haunting of Maplewood Park. Maplewood Park had always been a place of cherished childhood memories. During the day, it was a haven of laughter and joy, where the swings soared high and the slides promised endless adventures. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, it transformed into something altogether different, something that filled my nights with dread. It all began when I moved into a house adjacent to the park, unaware of the tales that whispered among the locals. They spoke of a playground that came alive after dark, where the spirits of long-forgotten children played their haunting games. One moonless night, unable to sleep, I decided to venture into Maplewood Park. Armed only with a flashlight, curiosity led me through the park's entrance. The swing set swayed gently in the breeze, casting eerie shadows in the moonlight. As I made my way toward the playground equipment, I noticed that the air had grown icy cold. It was as if the very atmosphere itself held its breath in anticipation. Ignoring the growing unease in the pit of my stomach, I pressed on. The swings moved with an otherworldly rhythm, back and forth, as if propelled by invisible hands. I approached the swings, certain that there must be a logical explanation, but just as I reached out to touch one, the laughter began. It started as a faint, distant sound, like the distant echoes of joyous children. My heart quickened as the laughter grew louder, closer, yet I was alone in the deserted playground. Panic gnawed at my insides as I fumbled for my flashlight. Suddenly, the swings stopped moving, and the laughter ceased. The silence that followed was so profound, it seemed to press in on me from all sides. I knew I should leave, but an inexplicable force rooted me to the spot. Then, from the darkest corner of the playground, emerged a ghostly figure. It was the apparition of a young girl, no older than 7 or 8, with long, disheveled hair that hung like a curtain over her face. Her clothes were ragged, and her feet were bare. She approached me with hesitant, unsteady steps. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was a haunting whisper that seemed to emanate from the very depths of her soul. "Play with me," she implored, her voice dripping with longing. Fear coursed through my veins, but I couldn't move. The ghostly child extended her bony hand toward me, and I felt a cold, numbing sensation as our fingers touched. Her touch sent a rush of images flooding through my mind. Images of children laughing and playing in this very park, their faces filled with joy and innocence. But as I watched, the scene darkened, and the children's laughter turned to screams of terror. The ground beneath them seemed to swallow them whole, and their joyful play transformed into a nightmarish descent into darkness. With a jolt, I broke free from the ghostly girl's grasp, stumbling backward. The night air felt thick and suffocating, and the playground had become a twisted funhouse of horrors. The swings now swung wildly on their own, and the slides twisted and contorted like serpents. I turned and fled from the park, the ghostly laughter following me until I crossed the boundary of Maplewood Park. The moment I stepped outside its confines, the world returned to normal, and the night was once again calm. From that night on, I avoided Maplewood Park at all costs. The laughter of ghostly children and the haunting memory of that encounter would forever be etched into my mind. I had learned the hard way that some childhood memories should remain undisturbed, for there are places where the line between the living and the dead is thin, and the past refuses to stay buried.